Hello everyone, I'm Dylan. Today, let's look into WSO2 Micro Integrator and go through some of the use cases. So, as WSO2 integration solution, WSO2 offers two type of integration development solutions. One is WSO2 Micro Integrator, which is the low-code platform. The other one is Ballerina, which is a programming language, which is the pro-code solution for developing integrations. So today we're gonna go through WSO2 MI. So first, what is WSO2 MI? So WSO2 Micro Integrator, also known as WSO2 MI, is a platform that allows users to create integration through a graphical user interface. So it has AI-assist development, and it can develop integration can be deployed as a microservice or ESB style, and the entire MI platform will be available as a VS Code extension. So these are some of our customers that use WSO2 MI. So before moving to anything, let's build something and see what the WSO2 MI is. So for this, for install and set up WSO2 Micro Integrator, you can search for WSO2 MI setup guide, and the first link goes to the documentation of the setup guide. It's available for many OSs, and you can follow this guide and install WSO2 Micro Integrator in your computer. So after that, you can open a VS Code. So since the platform will be available as a VS Code extension, you can download this WSO2 Micro Integrator extension from the extension store. And after you download it, the Micro Integrator interface will be look like this. So for example, I will demonstrate sample API creation. So for do that, I can go to create new project, which create a WSO2 MI project, and I'll give a name. I will call this sample and select a location. I will go to desktop, then create a MI project. So after you create the MI project, you can use the inbuilt AI to generate your integrations, or you can write your own integration. So for that, for now I'm gonna just write the integration. So for that, I have this left side pane, which has these menus, APIs, which are API endpoints which we're gonna build, then the endpoints, which kind of third-party services that you need to access, then the sequence, which can be called in a API and do something, then the proxy servers, inbound endpoints, listeners, the message stores, processors, tasks, local entries. I'm going to explain these stuff later. So for now, since I just need to create a sample API, I will go with creating an API. Let's create an API which take nothing. We call that, we send a GET request to that API endpoint, and it will respond the hello world to the client. So for that, I will create an API, and I will call it as, since it will give hello world, I will call it as hello world. Then I can press create. After you create API, you can see there is a API listed under API called hello world, and under that we have one resource, which is a GET request. So if you want to create another resource, you can use this button. For now, I will just use the GET request. When you go to that, you will see a sequence diagram. So this is the where we write the integration. So we can click the plus button, and here you can see many components, many type of components. These are called mediators. So since our task is to print hello world to the user or respond hello world to the user, first thing that I need is I need that payload, right? So in MI there's a concept called payload which flow through the sequence, and for now we don't have any payload since this is a GET request. So we can create a payload using payload factory. This is a mediator which create payload or manipulate payloads. So you can go to payload factory and configure these properties. Payload format will be inline, media type JSON, template type default. I can give any payload. In here I will set this kind of payload, message equal message colon hello world. This can be any JSON, and submit it. So now you can see when a user call my API, which is localhost port / hello world, it will begin from the start, then it will add this hello message hello world to the payload. So now what I need to do is respond that payload, right? So for that I can use there's a mediator called respond, and I can use that. So this is the hello world API. When you call localhost port / hello world, you will begin from the start, then you will add the hello world to the payload, then you respond that, right? So to run this, you can press this button, and yeah, after completing the build process, you will see this kind of interface which shows the hello world API is deployed, and you can try it on here as well, like this. Try it out, execute, then you will get the response like this. And if you are familiar with Postman, you can do a Postman request also. So you can set the URL like this, localhost port 8290, which is default port, and call the hello world API, which is under / hello world, and send a request, and you will get the this output, which is message hello world, which we set it earlier. So yeah, so let's go bit deep. So let's assume you have a complex integration which have multiple repetitive operations, right? So in that case, when you have the complex kind of stuff, building that entire complex integration in this API is not recommended. So for that, we have another concept called sequences, which kind of component that handle repetitive operations. So these kind of sequences can be created using this plus button and can be called in APIs. Let's demonstrate that as well. So for now, I'm just deleting this payload factory, and for this API, we just need to add the payload called hello world. So I'm going to use a sequence to do that. So for that, I'm just click here plus button for the sequence, and I'm going to create a new sequence. Let's call it hello world sequence, then create it. So now I create the hello world sequence, and I can go to that sequence by clicking that. Then it's a normal sequence diagram, and you can do anything by adding mediators, and you can do anything here like we did in APIs. So for now, just I'm going to add this payload factory, which include the previous content and submit it. So now under the sequence, we have this hello world sequence. So in API, what I'm going to do is call this sequence. So I can select the hello world sequence and I can add it like this. So what this does is, when we call that hello world API, now it calling the sequence and execute the components or the mediators under that sequence. So after that, it will put the payload factory and put the payload hello world to that sequence. So after that, in here we will get that payload. Whatever we set it in the sequence, we get it here. So then we respond. So this is how the sequence works. So this is bit valuable when you have repeating component and complex integrations. So from this menu, so we explain APIs, sequences, then we have endpoints, which are the third party API endpoint that you need to call in your integration. So for example, let's say you have a third party vendor who has some APIs and you need to call those APIs in your integration. So this is where the place that you can define those third party endpoints or APIs that you need to call. So this is for defining proxy servers. This is for inbound endpoints are the listeners. So you can see set of listeners, HTTP listeners, file listeners, RabbitMQ, WebSocket, HL7, Amazon SQS, Salesforce, Kafka, many more. So these are listeners. Then we have message stores, processors, and tasks, which is the cron jobs, local entries. And here's another important thing, which is connection. So assume you want to connect to a Kafka file, your OS file system, or a MongoDB, or Amazon S3, or Salesforce, or Twilio, or any other third-party solution or service provider. You can use connections. You can go to plus mark and you can add a new connection like this, so which will allow you to use these connection in your integrations. So for example, let's say you want to use Twitter or Twilio or Facebook in your integration, you can add those services as connection in here. So apart from that, we have templates, data services, which is another important thing. So many integrations, probably you need to use databases, right? So for that, in MI we have a concept called data sources and data services. So in MI, the view of handling databases is a bit different. So in MI we have first concept is called data sources, which hold the connection properties and the connection for databases. For example, you can create data sources for any database, MySQL, Oracle. The many databases are available here. You can use any of those databases, and you can define the connection properties and build the connection. So data source hold the connection to a database. So the data service concept is data service use data source, and data service is a kind of a query or set of queries that hosted as microservice. For example, let's say you need to connect to a MySQL database and fetch some data from that database. So first thing is you need to do is you need to create a data source here, then to which hold the connection to that MySQL database, and you need to define a data service which contain the query and will be hosted internally as microservice, which you can use by any of your APIs or sequences, which hold that query to get all the content from that your database. So yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the overall view of the menus here. Yeah, let's move to the back to the presentation again. Yeah, for in this demonstration, we plan to demonstrate few common integration use cases using MI. So for that, I come up with 4 type of integrations, commonly used ones. So one is, we'll demonstrate a database integration, which include basic CRUD operation to a database and database transaction and rollbacks. Then we have SFTP integration, which include file upload using our SFTP client and a file listener, which listen to a SFTP location. Then we'll demonstrate the Kafka integration, which we use Kafka client to publish a message to a Kafka topic, then the Kafka listener to consume those messages. Then we demonstrate SMTP integration to send an email. So yeah, for demonstrating all those stuff, we come up with a use scenario, which is we build, let's say we build a movie stream platform, which is like Netflix or Amazon Prime. So this movie streaming platform contain API consumers, which can be users of that platform and the developers and the administrators. So these users will use movie stream platform APIs, which we define in here. Then these APIs will be calling sequences which contain the integration logic of that entire platform. So you can define sequences here, and these sequence will call connection, which will be Kafka, SFTP and email, which I explained here, connection under connections. Then it will call data services to do the data operation, which is data services are a set of queries hosted as microservices. So those sequence will be calling those microservices, which use MySQL and Oracle data source. Apart from that, we have inbound endpoint, which are listeners, SFTP and client, to listen to the SFTP location and a Kafka topic. So let's begin with basic database operation. For demonstrate the basic CRUD, I already created an entire project for that. So for demonstrate simple get operation or the fetch operation to a database, I will use Oracle DB to demonstrate that. So in here I already have a Oracle DB, and it has a table called movies. So this table contains 5 records, and we have ID, title, director, release date, genre and rating. So and these are the movies in that movie table. So in so this is just an extension. Don't worry about the database client. This is just an extension, and this will connect it to a database. This is nothing related to WSO2 MI. So this is the database that I have, and this is the table. Of course, this is the table movie. So in WSO2 MI, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fetch the all of these movies. For that, I already created the project. Let me go to that project. Yep. So this is the project that I created for the entire demonstration. You can see it contains many APIs to demonstrate all of the functionalities, and it contains many sequences which called by these APIs, and it has data services, data sources, connections and stuff. So yeah, first let's connect it to that database, Oracle DB, and get some data from that DB. For that, I created this data services called movie stream Oracle. So in here you can see we have a resource called /movies. So like if you want to create a data service, you can just press plus here, and give a data service name. In my case, movie stream Oracle. For now I just say sample. Then you can add data sources and also give a name, sample Oracle DB, and you can choose database type. In my case, this is a relational database, so you can select a database engine, which is in this case Oracle, and you can give the configurations for connection. Then by clicking next, you can build a data service like this. So under that we have resources. You can create resources by this. So these resources are the queries that will be hosted as microservices. So in this case, I have a resource called movies. In here we have this template which we need to fill. So for this data service or this database call, for input, since I just want to fetch this table, so just select all from movies. So there is no input parameters, so I will put this input mapping as empty. So for the query, it will be select all from movies, right? We can specify the data source here, which is movie stream Oracle. Then these are the data source parameters. Then for the transformation, when we execute the query, I need the output as a JSON, and here the output mappings. So you can specify JSON mapping here. So you can see I put movies. Under that I have movie, and movies a list containing these things: ID, title, director, release date, genre, and rating. You can see in the database we have these things: ID, title, director, release date, genre, and rating. So yeah, that's it. After that, I can save this data service. So yeah, that's the creation of data service. For use this, I create an API called movie, which will be localhost port /movie. Then we have sub resource, which is localhost /movies/all, which call the sequence called get movies. So you're now familiar with this, right? So we have start, we have respond. Under that, we above that we have calling a sequence called get movies. So get movies is a sequence which call that data service. So this is a call data service mediator, which can be get through typing call data service. So it will call that get movies data source which we created here. So yeah, so the data service will be put that payload, output that payload, and here I will add that payload to my main sequence. So this is how we connect it to a database and create a database operation. So to use this, we need to first run it. Let's give it a few seconds to run that. Yes, now you can see there's many APIs, and the movie API is also up and running. So you can go to, let's close this stuff. Yes, get movies, which is localhost port /movie/all, and when I execute that, I will get all movies in here in my database. So yeah, you can see how easy to do a database select operation using MI. So yeah, that's the select operation. Now just let's go through some insert operation. Let's create a user in user table in MySQL DB. So similarly, I have a MySQL DB in here, and it has three tables: payment, subscription, users. Currently it has three users. I already created yeah, the APIs to get all users in here, so I can use that to list the all users. This is similar to what we did for Oracle. Yeah, you can see there's three users here. Now let's go through that user creation API. For that, like previous, I create a MySQL data service which contain this user insertion operation, which is add as a resource. So under that, since we have some inputs, we need to define the input mappings. So for that, I have defined username, email, and password. So when we calling this create user API, we need to give those things: username, email, and password. And this input mapping will map that to these properties: username, email, and password. Then we have the query, which is insert into users, username, email, and password, and subscription ID. Values are username, email, and password, and I will assign 0 to subscription ID. So then yeah, that's it. Then we have the transformation. Nothing, I didn't define these things because it's a input operation. So I can call this movie stream MySQL data service in I create this user API. Under that we have a post get for getting all users, post for creating user, deleting for delete user, and update user. In here I have that in create user sequence called in the API. Under the create user sequence, I call that data service which add a user. So yeah, so overall what will happen is, when you do a post request to with this payload to this endpoint, which is user slash, it will hit here user, and since it's a post request, it will go to the post, and it will start the sequence, and it will call the create user sequence and respond the whatever written by create user sequence. So when you go to the create user sequence, it will call the data service and the create user operation, and it will add this payload, which is status user created successfully, to the payload and do the database operation. So database operation done through this data service, which is movie stream MySQL. So hope you understand the overall concept here. So when I let's list the users. So you can see there is 3 users now, 1, 2, and 3. Let's create a user called Dylan with my email, and you can see the status is user created successfully. And now if you run this again, you can see there is a new user with the details that I given. So yeah, that's how we use database insertion using data services and sequences and APIs. Yeah, the other stuff are similarly you can use update user, which is have a query update and have the input mappings similarly. And yeah, to update the user, let's see, I can use get user as well to update that user, newly created user, and I can use update user as well. In body I can use I can update Dylan to something else. Then you can see the user is updated, and I will list it again. You can see the user is updated here, and I also can delete a user. Let's delete the newly created user, which is ID4. And now if I list it again, there's no users. Likewise, you can do the basic CRUD operation using API, sequence, and data services. So yeah, that's it for basic CRUD operations. All the project files are uploaded with the this demonstration. You can refer the project to understand it. Yes, so that's it for basic CRUD operations. Let's move to database transactions. So to demonstrate a database transaction, I have come up with a scenario which user subscribe to a subscription and user did the payment, right? So in that case, I created 3 tables in my SQL database. You can see payment, subscription, and user. So when users subscribe to a subscription, there will be new subscription, and currently it has 3 records. There will be new subscription, and here which contain the package name, user ID, start date, end date, and price. Then there will be a new payment with that amount. Then the user, if there is a new user, the subscription ID will be 0. Then it will be updated to the subscription ID. So let's create a new user so I can show it to you. Let's create this user. So we need to run the project. Let's go to the MI and run the MI. Yep. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna when I'm gonna consider these 3 operation for 3 table as a transaction. So when you subscribe to a subscription, either these 3 operation will be done or completely not. So either subscription will be created in subscription table, user table will be updated, then payment table will be inserted with the new payment. These 3 will be done or undone, so not done. So yeah, the MI is updated. Let's create this user. So there will be now there will be 4 users. Yeah, the last one, there is no subscription. So I create to demonstrate this transaction, I create an API called subscribe. In this subscribe API, you can see we calling a sequence called subscribe package, which contains the integration logic. So in here, this is a bit more complex. So to do this 3 operation, I need data, right? So for data, I prepare these data to insert to 3 tables, which is user email, what user I'm gonna do the subscription. So the subscribe package name, start date, subscription start date, subscription end date, the price of the subscription, and the amount what user pays to the subscription, and the transaction date. So in the sequence, what I'm doing is when I'm sending this post request to the subscribe API, first thing that I need is I need to extract these properties, right? Extract these parameters from the body. So in here we have a property group. This is kind of variable in programming language, where we store the values. So in WSO2 MI, property is a concept for variable. So we can in here what I'm doing is I'm storing the email that coming from the body, as email, the package name as package name, start date and start date, the end date as end date, price as price, transaction date and amount to future use. So in here, when the subscribe API invoked, user will give these details. In when it come to it will start and it will execute this. In here, the MI will have the set of properties which contain these details, so MI can use those things. So then there is a data service call to a MySQL data service for the operation get user email. So let's go to the MySQL data service and get user email here. So you can see in here what it does is it will get the user information for an email. So since the reason that I'm doing is to update the tables which we have, which are shown earlier, payment, subscription, users. To update the user table, we need to update the subscription table, we need user ID. To payment, we need user ID. But as the request, we are just getting the email. So before we to get in the user ID, we need to use this email to get the user ID. So that's why in their service I am getting those user information for an email. So after that, let me go to that, back to that subscribe package sequence. After I get the user data, I will store those data as also properties. So I will extract the user ID, username and password, subscription ID as properties as well. So yeah, now in here, after that, we are ready for do the 3 operation, which will be insert a new record to the subscription table, payment table, and update the user with new subscription ID. So in after everything, you can see there is a single data service call for movie streaming MySQL data service, but there is 3 operation. One is post subscribe, which create the subscription, then the update user, then the post payment, which create the payment. And in here you can see normally we define operation type as single. Since this is a transaction, we define that operation type as request box. That's it. So this is how you handle the transaction in MI. You just need to change the type of operation type. So request box is the transaction handling operation type. So to demonstrate this, I will send this API call. So email will be dilanp@wso2.com. Then here the details, and when I send this, you can see the transaction is successful, and I should be able to see the new entered data. You can see there is subscription ID under the DILA. Then there is a newly subscription created. Earlier there were 3 records, and you can see there is a new payment under the user 5, new subscription under the user 5, and the user 5 is DILA. Right? So this is the transaction successful scenario of the database transaction. So to demonstrate the full rollback, I did something. So when I creating the payment table, I add a check constraint to the amount, saying the amount should be always equal or greater than 399, right? So if this table getting any amount less than 399, it doesn't allow to insert that data, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to delete this transaction related data, previous here the data to the user 5. Let me delete this user as well. Let's create a new user. So now there is 3 entries for each table, and then I'm going to create that user again, and now user table will be 4 entries and the no subscription. So now what I'm going to do is, instead of sending a number greater than or equal 399, I will send a amount that less than 399, which is 299. So this will fail the database insertion for payment table. So technically what will happen is, it will start and it will create a subscription, since the subscription is the first operation. In here you can see the creating a subscription is first one, then updating the user is second one, the last one is the creating a payment. So it will create the subscription, no problem, it will allow it. Then the update users table, no errors, it will go. Then when we creating the payment, since the amount is less than 299, it will fail due to a check constraint violation. So what should happen is, since this is transaction, it should be rolled back. So there will be no subscription created or no update user table. So let me run that again. And you can see now the transaction is rolled back, which is transaction is failed. So you can see the 3 tables didn't update. And in here, if you check the log, there will be a new log saying SQL exception, check constraint, check amount is violated. So that's how MI handle transactions. So it's not a big difference. You just need to change the type to single to request box to handle transaction. So I hope that is very easy to do the transaction in WSO2 MI. Yeah, so let's move to SFTP integration. So to demonstrate SFTP capabilities, first I will demonstrate the SFTP client. So in this scenario, what I'm going to do is, I have a post endpoint called localhost/upload, which take some data, some information, and using MI, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create a file with that contain using SFTP client. So I already have a SFTP server here, which contain 2 folders, which already empty. You can see here, no content here. So, and I ready this payload to send to this endpoint /upload, which is file name is uploads inception.json, which will create the reason that I'm sending is, I need to create an inception.json file in this upload folder, and the file content should be this movie, title is inception, blah blah blah, right? So to do this, I have created the upload endpoint. You can see there is a upload endpoint. Under that, we are calling a sequence called upload file sequence. Yes, yeah. In that sequence, you can see this is basic thing that we need to do. So this is very basic. So what we need to do is create a file, right, with that content. So for that, MI is very simple. You can add plus. Instead of mediators, now we need to connect it to a SFTP location, right? So, or a connection, we need a SFTP connection. For that, we have connectors. Under that, we have file. So in here, what I'm going to do is, there is list of operation here: create directory, list file, delete, copy, move, rename. In here, what I'm going to do is, I just need to write something, right? So I choose write, and here you can see you can create a connection by giving the connection name and connection type and the relevant details. So likewise, I already created the SFTP connection. These are my connection details. So to write the file, I need to give the file path and the content. So for that, I extract the file name which I'm going to send from the body and the content from the body. So the file path will be the file name and the content will be the content from the client request. So yeah, that's it. That basically it. So that's how SFTP client you use a SFTP client. So let's run this so you can see in action. I can send the request and you can see the right result is success. And when I refresh this upload folder, we can see a file. Let's view that, and you can see the content of that file. Yeah, that's how we write a file using our SFTP client. So these connection will be listed under connection. You can see this is the SFTP connection that we created. So you can use this connection multiple times in various operation. So yeah, that's how we use SFTP client. And for SFTP listener, what we're gonna do is for that exact same SFTP server, we're gonna set up a SFTP listener. So when someone upload a file into that SFTP server, our MI listener will listen to that SFTP location and log that file to WSO2 MI log. So to do that, I create a inbound proxy. So this is the place where we have listeners. So you can see in the inbound endpoints, we have two listeners, SFTP listener endpoint and the Kafka listener endpoint. You can create inbound endpoints by clicking here, and you can see there are various of listeners, HTTP listeners, JMS listeners, file listeners, RabbitMQ listeners. In here, we just use file listener. So you can see if I go to this listener, you can see the polling interval is 10,000 milliseconds, which is 10-second polling interval, and you can see we listen to this SFTP location verified folder, and yeah, that's it. So under this sequence, you can see we just log the body, so which is the content of the file. So let me upload something into that SFTP location. Let's see. Yes, we have that verified folder here. Let's upload something. Let's just copy this inception file into that verified folder. Oops, it doesn't update. Let me find a file. Yes, so let's upload this file into this location, and you can see the file is uploaded. Let's check the log whether we log that file, you can see there is a new log from inbound endpoint SFTP listener, which contain the entire file. So yeah, that's it for the SFTP listener. So you can do whatever integration you need to do here. You can, you can get the file content, do some modification, and call some other APIs. You can write those integration here. So yeah, that's for SFTP integration. That's how we handle SFTP in WSO2 MI. So the next thing that I need to demonstrate is the Kafka integration. So in here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use Kafka client as well as Kafka listener. So for the Kafka client, what we're gonna do is we have set of movie information, and we're gonna do a post request to this endpoint called release. And what it does, it will publish these movie information into a specific Kafka topic. So I need to define a Kafka connection to do that. Then these movie information will be go to that Kafka topic. So other end, we have a Kafka listener listen to that Kafka topic, and it will call a sequence. In this case, I think I log the information. So what will happen is when we call in this API with the movie information, first it will send it to the Kafka topic, and meanwhile there will be listener which listen to that Kafka topic and log the movie information. So let me go to the MI dashboard to show you. We have release endpoint under movies. You can see it will call it is calling a release movie sequence. Under that you can see there is a connection and a publish message mediator. We have defined the Kafka connection. This is very similar to file connection. You can click the plus button and you can go to the connectors and you can choose Kafka. You can just search Kafka transport, and you can click the publish message, and you can create the connection and fill the following details to do the public message. So in here I define the Kafka topic, which is movie stream, and yeah, that's it. And I'm gonna publish the entire message to that Kafka topic. Kafka connection details are configured in here. Under the Kafka connection, it will be localhost 1992. And these are the details. So yeah, when someone call this release endpoint, it will call the sequence and it will publish a message to a Kafka topic called movie stream. So yeah, that's the Kafka client part. Apart from that, I already defined the Kafka listener also. In here you can see we have Kafka listener endpoint which listen to that same topic here, and when something received, it will enrich, mean it will add that payload to the body. So and it will print the movie title, right? So let's test that thing. So I have released movie, which I will send these information to this endpoint. So when I'm sending this, and you can see there should be a Kafka engagement happening there, and you can see there is a payload which is the movie title. Instead of movie title, let's get the entire content. I will remove the title part. I will get the entire movie payload. Let's call this again, and now you can see, yep, I need to rerun this again to update the MI application. Yes. Yes, let's run this again. Now you can see the entire payload is here. So what does happen is, when I invoke this endpoint, release endpoint, it will call the sequence called release movies, which publish message to that movie streaming Kafka topic. Then other hand, parallelly we have Kafka listener also initiated, which listen to that topic and log that message. So yeah, that's how we handle Kafka client and Kafka listening in WSO2 MI. So let's move to the SMTP integration, which is the last part of the demonstration. So in this integration, we are demonstrating. I'm going to send some move information to a endpoint called notify, and WSO2 MI will extract those move information and create a wonderful email template and send it to a email using a WSO2 email client. So to do that, so this is the post request that I'm gonna send to notify endpoint. You can see there is a movie. Under that we have title, director, release date, genre, and rating. So this is the email that I'm gonna receive. That email, this one, this one. Then currently it is empty. The inbox is empty, and so we set up the API, which is notify API in MI. Then in that we have post resource, and in that we have start call sequence called send email, and it will respond whatever is we coming from this send email sequence. Let's go to that. So yes, in that sequence we have a payload factory and the connector connection and the connector calling. And like previous like previous with the SFTP and the Kafka, we also can go to the connectors to send a mail. You can just go to the connectors and search for email, and you can see there's this is a email connector, WSO2 email connector, and you can choose send and fill these things and add new connection to send email. So this is that part, the email connector usage. And before that, I'm sending this payload to the endpoint. So before that, I put a payload factory to do some modification on that payload. So in here you can see I changed the template type to a free marker, which is a template engine, freely available. You can use their documentation and follow their documentation to build your own templates. So in that I created a template, and I put some values here, template values here, and I'm going to inject these values into that template. So that's how FreeMark works. So I'm extracting the movie title, movie director, and stuff, and inject to that template. So after this payload factory, in the payload we have a email template, and I'm going to send it to this email using our email client. So I already defined the email connection here, host, port, username, and the password, like that. So when I invoke the notify endpoint, it will call the sequence and it will build that template and send it to that email. So let's call that endpoint. You can see the API is calling, and you can in email you will see there is a new email from WSO2 MI. You can see the title is here and the date is here, release date here. Let's change the title. Let's change title to hello. hello world, and let's send that again, and you can see there will be a new email with that title. So yeah, that's how the email client works. So yeah, that's the end of the presentation, and hope you get understanding about the overall picture of MI and the use cases that I present. Thank you.